And then we make actions to draw near the Creator, and drawing near to the Creator is possible only by the action of the light that reforms, and that's it. So what does it mean? That to be drawn to the light, meaning to a world that has bestow. And what does it mean to come out of a world of reception and to enter a world of bestow? Reception and bestow are two possible forms of the world to receive, either in the direction of in order to bestow, which means it bestows outwardly to the others, or in order to receive, where it bestows to itself. There's nothing more than these two forms in reality. Is there a state that is above that? If there are these two states of reception and bestow, is there a higher state than that? Higher means that the souls have to correct themselves until all of them are in order to bestow. Again, yes, in our world, when two people are in equivalence of form, there is no connection between them. There is nothing to discuss. There's nothing to argue about it, as if the connection disappears. Yes, how does that play out in spirituality? What's the connection of equivalence of form and spirituality? Two desires that have equivalence of form, they can incorporate with each other and bestow to each other. Okay, Sham are the souls created from the opposition between the ABA of impurity. No, the souls were created not for that purpose, and not as a result of that. It's just the will, the Creator who created the will to receive looked to the end of the act from the beginning of the act, and saw that this form that the souls will take on in order to bestow so is the complete form, and that's why he created a great will to receive in them, and gave them the possibility with their own strength, well, relatively with their own strength, to achieve in order to bestow. By that they equalize with their Creator. So the part of the impurity is a part of the within their soul. Seems that the souls and the worlds work together, that the soul is before, or the world is before first of all the worlds. Then in the worlds there was a shattering of their souls. Soon we'll get to that, what happens when we correct the desire. For example, if when a person that corrects a desire in the world of Bri, does something change in the person in impurity in relation to whole? What changes? The relationship between and purity and holiness varies there. It's not just there, but it in the entire, in all of the world. It's a system that's connected to all the different forms of connections between the will to receive. Yeah, well, everything's changing. Yeah, again, how can there be a state of ought in of impurity? What does that state? There are forces that work this against that, as there are forces of in. Then there's also forces of in, but it's written to be a very weak and secondary matter. The will to receive that wants to bestow, and reveals that it's in order to receive in its smallest extent. It finds itself in the of, and its correction is of holiness. Yes, then when it rises and makes more and more corrections in a seemingly higher, more advanced state, so it reveals the of. How could there be such a state as with him? It's its holiness that too is discussed. It's not literally about the K in, but it's something, a sort of something that against it there can be of. Well, we'll clarify it for sure. Yeah, why is it not of impurity and of holiness? Why is it of impurity as opposed to of? Because the Creator made this one thing against the other in creating for these four forms in the souls opposite the other four forms also. Why is it? We'll read about it soon. It's in front of us. It's in the next item, or a few items. Forward relation to the worlds of T. Are they discernments in a person, or are they desires? Yeah, these are discernments within the person. What a person discovers, meaning the person starts from a raw will to receive, and then there he builds more and more discernments that too, and along with being in a society and doing all kinds of actions, he begins to correct himself and draw the light that reforms upon himself. Then he begins to rise from left to right, and falls into the left again, and rises in on the right again, and he does that until he corrects all of. So of impurity is an advanced process, part of advance, and he can only reveal that if he has the ab of the holiness against it. It's like a person who is not in a certain field, and another person who is in that field and has a lot of discernment. Why are these exactly adapted to Abia? Of how is that adaptation to expressed? Is it something that will B or something that X or something that happened it has happened there was a of and it was shattered and became or of impurity and it appears within the person any person mean in order to reach of holiness a person needs to travel on the above T of impurity. Yes, it's like two legs, that is his working no he must. Yeah, how does that feel? How do I know what world I'm in, whether I'm in every world? That's that's what we discover through our work, meaning that search for what form of bestow we want to adhere to, and each time we discover that we are not the contrary, we're in a form of reception, not bestow. So in such a way we advance, say we get discernments of being in my vessels of reception. Let's say is it oh yes, so what picture can I depict or feel in this or that world? When you rise you get a feeling and an understanding of where you are. It can't be discussed without knowing. States exactly we speak about discernment, that view reminded about the scrutiny that I need to do. How do I identify I'm in uncertain feelings? In these feelings you identify that you ascend from previous feelings to the present feelings, and in the present feelings you already have insights, understandings, feelings that are higher point in the heart. Does that relate? Does that belong to of you could say impurity? That's where we begin revelation of a person who in, or is it something that draws him to a of? We will get to all of these things and then we'll talk. For now it's completely unrealistic and unknown to us how to express that. All right, yes, rise that opposite of form from their creator makes us distant one in from the other. So when a person comes to correct, it is in that prayer is there that feeling of the distance between the person and the creator. Of course it depends on where a person is. Does the prayer not cover all that distance? I don't know what you mean by prayer. Person feels opposite and then he turns directly to the creator for his correction. So then what he goes through all the worlds, all the firmaments, and hits some mark there, the throne. What so between the person and the creator? What does equivalence of form at equivalence of form? If we get to equivalence of form with the creator, this means we're in a desire to bestow as he is. What's connection between the person and the creator? That's what we need to discover. Person now goes on the path. He's always in a certain inner work. What does he need to constantly do? What does he need to penetrate more and more into? What is that connection? Probably in the direction of the creator. What does that mean? That he wants to come to a meeting, to a contact with the creator, and the prayer is not within the prayer. What should one insert so that the person feels that he has connection with the creator? We have to try that. A person will pray for wanting connection with the creator, that's it. But it's that he wants connection with the creator, not that he already has it. No worlds were created for the sake for the need of the souls. Yes, worlds without the intention of correcting the souls do not exist. Say don't exist, but their purpose is to correct the souls. Now the soul that rises does that correct the worlds of tumor of impurity. Can you say that? No, there's nothing to correct about the worlds, meaning the worlds remain until the end of correction. Yes, and in the end of correction do the worlds remain or not? No, in the final correction everything's included. So the worlds are the means for the correction of souls, and when there is no need for them, then they disappear. Yes, still unclear to me if the whole of creation is only the will to receive without any contact with bestow. How can the created being then feel opposite of form to something that he's completely detached from and has no discernment of? He doesn't have one against the other. He has some imagination, some aspiration to reach something, but he has no feeling of one against the other. Then what? So what do we start from? We start from our state where we are and that we want to reach adhesion with the creator. We have no feeling of what's the quality of the creator and the quality of bestow. We hear about it and we try to somehow discover it. And what do I compare with the picture that I have, that I tried to reach? Yes, even without a feeling. Without a feeling, a feeling is already attainment. No, yes, okay. Yeah, I don't want to be impudent, but maybe we can write in the introduction to N. Item 59 there is another depiction of her of. We'll get there. Yes, the word T, impurity, what does that mean? What's impurity? T means that there is a will to receive there, that's opposite to the creator, which is entirely a will to bestow, and he wants to use its desire to receive in order to fulfill itself and its pure. Why? Because by that it doesn't allow anyone who's in that will to receive to be close to the Creator. To can, yes, is prayer. Does the Creator prefer a prayer for they of my enemy or a prayer for my own child? A pray to who? What prayer does the Cree prefer? A prayer for the child of my enemy or a prayer for my own child? Basically, it depends on what world a person is in, but he has to reach a state where he raises the prayer that matches the Creator's will, meaning he's praying for that the Creator's will towards some person or some child. Like you say that it will be fulfilled. What do you mean? Sorry for the English, but what does it mean that it depends on a certain world a person isn't? No, well, if it's the world, accordingly man changes his prayer. The preference of the Creator changes. Everything's changing. The will to receives a greater illumination. Then it relates differently to the Creator. This is we'll get there. We'll learn that again. Yes, once heard from our that all of our effort to connection does changes in the world. Now I heard that in relation to the prayer that it doesn't really reach there. We do not where we request. When we pray, we don't really reach there. The world. So what is there? There's always a change from our prayers to the Creator. It always affects and changes the entire all of the worlds. Yea, you'll be the last. We learn that the word world is from the word of concealment. The words of be is that also in relation to a concealment. Yes, two systems. So what is this concealment? What is the concealment of K and the concealment of Tam with respect to the person who attains these degrees? There is a concealment towards him. What is concealed? The Creator. Yes, what does it mean that the Creator is concealed in T in impurity and in holiness in K? That concealed in and appears in. That's how it happens. Yes, you again emphasizes the worlds of T and the worlds of K. He could say the worlds of impurity and the world of purity. Why doesn't he say that I understand that purity, it's outside of oneself, there's no contact and in purity. He says that one who comes to purify in the souls, and the soul here is the will to receive. Why doesn't he say here that there are worlds of purity? Probably there's yet no foundation to speak that way. We'll see. We'll advance. You're reading or hearing about this for the first time, so we will see. We'll advance. Don't jump into a question immediately when you just see a new term or a new world word. Get used to it. See how he writes about it. Look into whether you yourselves can open it up and gradually discover this matter to each and everyone. That's how you learn. Okay, says here that there's difference between the words of and that one is alive and one is dead. What is alive and what is dead? Alive, me that he self can turn to the Creator and cause changes in himself, and dead is one who cannot do that. Dead knows his dead could be and could be that he doesn't know if he knows he's dead, so he wants to be alive. Well, let's say that he wants to be alive. Question is, does it reveal that he's alive when he was first dead? No, these are other discernments, but the motion is from one to the other all the time. Right, well, I wouldn't say this is so. One who's alive is alive, one who's dead is dead, and next time when the Creator changes their states they advance. But he says that they world of dead, alive. I don't know what you mean by that, but no, he says that there is bad and a way to exit that. Yes, yeah, that's it. Okay, oh, how many we have here. Okay, our women aren't asking. Interesting, women aren't asking, only the men. One, you said that our prayer, if I understood you correctly, makes changes in all the worlds. How should we pray in such a way in order for us to see these changes? A prayer is a request to the extent that a person depicts his true state, how the Creator relates to him, and that he can depict to himself where he wishes to be. That's how he sees it in himself. So the gap between this and that where he wants to be and where he is, that's basically his prayer. If I want to reach the revelation of the spiritual worlds, do I come to that through the prayer? Meaning the prayer is the place of the revelation. A mark for yes, a kmar for in our state. What signs are there that a person feels a state of impurity, and how can he correct that in order to come closer? For the signs that I feel is that I want for myself, and not for the sake of the Creator, not for the sake of the friends, is that the state of impurity. Only through prayer we can correct ourselves and reach closeness with the Creator. The revelation of the Creator. Latin S. H. Hey Rob and friends, what does it mean to be dead in ver 10? What does it mean to be dead in the 10? That I don't feel my spiritual state. I don't really feel connection with the friends and connection with the worlds. I'm simply in a state where I'm dead. Like even like we say it, in slang. Yeah, next to be an explanation of how a person needs to do the first step and then all where worlds are for him, but the person holds on to his ego and he does not retreat. So what can we add? Here we have to hold on to that person to grab hold of him and elevate him above his state, and then he'll feel where he is and where we're pulling to. That's what we need to do. Turkey. To Alam speaks here about two systems. Where are we in those two systems, and how can we increase our awareness of that? Speaks here about two systems. Where are we between these two systems, and how can we increase our awareness of our two? That we are in a system of tam. We have to get to the opposite, the corresponding system of, and that's what we want to have happen by our prayer. Holland. That's all right. Holland. Yeah, good morning dear. Our good morning. What does it mean to be, let's say, in a state of how do you identify that? So now I'm in. What does that mean? When we begin to truly work in bestow, we begin to also detect what spiritual world Thiso belongs to. In the meantime, we can't identify it because we don't have the forces through which to perceive the system of Theo Chislak. For thank you to what is the difference between the intention to bestow and a bestowing? Clay vessels ofo are already vessels, meaning desires with screen, so we can work with them. That's vessels of bestow. And then what? Intention to bestow. Intention to bestow is that I wish to get that. I would like to do that. But do I already have the vessels yet or not? I don't know. That's the intention. Okay, so now we will go to what? Rush Arctic. What do enjoy from the 24th of March, 23rd of March, we have the Unity Day for Pam. Increasing joy to sign up. Go to convention. C.1 23rd of March on day a World Unity Day for Purim, and we'll go to a so spe for a. We are studying Rash's article. What is he who enjoys at a groom's meal? In the work you can find it in the Rabash writings and on our sites. Again, what is he who enjoys at a groom's meal? In the work from Rabash. That's the article we are beginning. Our sages said he who enjoys at a groom's meal and does not delight him transgresses in 5 voices, and if he delights him, what is his reward? Ru said he is rewarded with the Torah, which was given in 5 voices. We should understand what it means that if he enjoys at a groom's meal, he must delight him, and if he does not enjoy at a groom's meal, should he not delight him also? What does it mean that he must delight him? Is the groom sad that he became a groom? He should try, that we should try to delight him. We should also understand with what can we delight the groom, so that by delighting him we will be rewarded with the Torah. It makes sense that if a person is told to perform some commandment, he is promised the next world as a reward, but here they said that his reward will be the Torah. Is this a reward that obligates one to delight the groom? How should we understand all this? In the work also we must understand why it is not required to delight the bride, but only the groom. Concerning the bride, we find another requirement concerning the bride. It was said, how does one dance before the bride? The house of Shai say the bride as she is the house of H, a fair and graceful bride. The house of Shammai said the house of hell. What if she is lame or blind? Is she told of fair and graceful bride? The Torah said stay far from false words. The house of said to the house of Shammai, according to you, one who makes a bad bargain in the market, should one praise it before him or criticize it before him? That is, he should praise it before him. Consequently, the sages said one's view should always be mingled with people. We should understand why. Concerning the bride, we are speaking only of dancing, and it was not said that the bride should be made happy only during the dance, and what name should be given to the bride, whether as she is or a handsome name even if it is not the truth. Shabbat is also called bride as it is written, go my beloved toward the bride. Before Shabbat there are 6 work days. During those 6 days we must toil in order to prepare everything for Shabbat. And we also eat the Shabbat meal. Shabbat is called Mal. Bride is called the land of Israel, is called Mal. Also creation in general is called Mal. This means that in general we should speak of 2 subjects, 1 creator, 2 created beings. The creator is called the groom and the created beings are called where bridegroom is named by being and of an inferior degree, as our sages said, descend in degree and take a wife. It means that the creator can be called a groom only when he has a bride. It is as it is in corporality. When we say that some person is a groom, it means he has a bride. But what does this imply to us in spirituality, since it is impossible to speak of a creator without created beings? One who says that there is a creator, it is after he has created creatures and they attain him that he created them. Then the creatures say that there is a creator, but if there is no one to attain him, then there is no one to speak of him. Therefore, when he created the creatures, it was by restricting himself several times, after which it was possible for created beings to emerge. They are the receivers and they are far from him in terms of oppositeness of form, since his desire is only to bestow and the creatures want only to receive. And disparity of form in spirituality creates remoteness and separation. It follows that precisely by lowering himself so that the creatures would attain him, it is possible to say that the creator is called a groom, for he lowered himself so as to be attained. Those who attain are called bride, who knows that there is a groom, and if the creatures would not attain him, he would certainly not be called a groom, and those who attain would not be called a bride. When we speak about the worlds in general, we distinguish everything into 2 discernments. 1, the throwing light, called a groom, which shines into the worlds through the restriction and the screen. This is called a groom that receives the light and abundance, which is called the general mal of the worlds. However, in person there are many discernments in the light, and the proliferation comes because of the cle that receives them. That is concerning the light. We say that there are no changes in the light, but all the changes are in the cle. This is so because the light shines only through restrictions, and to the extent that there is equivalence between the light and the clean. For this reason, it depends on the work of the receiver and how much he can correct himself so as to have equivalence with the light. And from the perspective of the receiver called a cle, we can discern many discernments in the light. For this reason, although we have many details, it is still generally one life and one cle, as we learn that at the end of correction the Lord will be one, and his name one is called a bride, and there are 6 work days before her, which is the time of labour, as it is written, for 6 days the Lord made the heaven and the earth, and on the 7th day he rested. Thus Shabbat means the completion of the work, and the bride it also means completion of the work, as it is written, Moses finished. Cl in Hebrew, finished is similar to bride in Hebrew, that the work was completed. We should understand the meaning of labour and the meaning of the completion of the work, which is called Shabbat, in where work the writing says which God has created to do, as it explains in the latter commentary theme. The 6 work days are the correction of the 6 qualities called, since the Creator created the world with a desire to receive for oneself. This is called created, meaning existence from absence, and since it is of different form, which causes remoteness and separation, the cle which the Creator created was given for the lower ones to do, meaning to correct, namely to place on the act of reception the aim to bestow. This is called adhesion, equivalence of form, by which creation called reng for himself, and separation was corrected with a correction of where reception acquires the form. When the lower ones give this cle, the light can reach the lower ones. That is, at that time comes the thought of creation, which is his desire to do good to his creations, into practice. This is called the completion of the work of the cle that is fit to receive the abundance that belongs to the kli. It follows that the 6 work days are regarded as work to do the intention to bestow, and Shabbat means that the CLE that will work in order to bestow has been prepared. Therefore the coming of Shabbat implies that the light has come to a CLE that is ready for the light. Then it is called Shabbat, meaning that he has already rested Shabbat from his work of making the CLE, since he already corrected the CLE when the light shines in the vessels. The CLE has nothing to do but only to enjoy the light, as this is the purpose of creation, to do good to his creations, which is the meaning of what our sages said when Shabbat comes, rest comes. This is so because when the light shines in the vessels there is no more room for work. Rather, this is called enjoying the meal of Shabbat. This is what our sages said: he who did not toil on the eve of Shabbat to make vessels, what will he eat? Shabbat, in other words, Shabbat is called a meal, which is a time of reception of delight and pleasure. If he has no vessels that have been prepared on the eve of Shabbat, when the light comes he hasn't the vessels in which to receive their meal. This is why Shabbat is called Karla, bride, from the words concluded, ending, completion. It is written, and on the 7th day God concluded the work that he has done, that he had done. This means that the meal is already prepared, since the vessels of reception of the meal have already been completed, and it is known that it cannot be said that the light is missing, as it is written, the whole earth is full of his glory. Rather, when there are vessels that are ready we see the light, meaning the light is revealed inside the kim, inside the vessels. The land of Israel is also called a bride, since she has a groom, as it is a land that the eyes of the Lord your God are upon it from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. This is seemingly difficult to understand why specifically the land of Israel is like that. After all, it is written, the eyes of the Lord roam in everything, and not specifically in the land of Israel. We should interpret that the Torah gives us a sign to those who work for the Creator and want to know if they have already been rewarded with the quality of the land of Israel. The sign is that the person feels that the eyes of the Lord, meaning his providence, is in the form of good and doing good. This is regarded as a person being in the land of Israel. That time the land of Israel is called bride, since she knows she is a groom. Likewise, in whom is there a groom? That is, who knows that there is a groom is the one who attains the groom. This degree is called bride, meaning one who has attained godliness. The light is considered godliness, and the receiver of the light is the one who attains. For this reason the land of Israel is called a bride, meaning that the groom is revealed in her, that the Creator is the overseer in order to attain the land of Israel, called a land that is regarded as a bride. It is customary that, as in corporeality, we go to look for a bride in whom there are no flaws, as it is written about the spies who slandered the land of Israel, saying that the bride, meaning the land, is not worth taking for many reasons. Some said that she was proud and had many demands from a person, meaning that one should annul his reason and will before her, and only those who can walk with eyes shut and obey all her demands with him she can speak, and if he wants to understand what she is saying within reason, she promptly runs away from him. They say, how can one annul his entire being for her? That is, she is so firm minded that if he disobeys what she tells him once, she will immediately run away from him. In other words, the land of Israel is the kingdom of heaven, and one must accept the kingdom of above reason, not wait for the body to agree to assume the burden of the kingdom of heaven. Acceptance of the kingdom of heaven must be so that a person comes to love the Creator with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might, and all on the of above reason, meaning unconditional surrender, namely that the body too does not understand. The person must go and assume the land with his eyes shut, meaning above reason. If in the middle of the work, when he has awarded some assent in spirituality, a person feels a good taste in the work and says, now I do not have to believe in faith in the Creator, because already I feel a good taste in the work, and I take the taste I feel in the work as a basis. At time it is as in the allegory that he wants to understand faith above reason. Why should I and says now I already have a basis for believing in the Creator, she immediately runs away from him. In other words, the whole ascent that he is feeling, he immediately descends from his state. This is regarded as mal called the land of Israel runs away from him, and he remains in a state of abroad. This is as our sages said, the land of the nations, their air is impure. This means that during a decline, a person descends from the land of Israel, enters the land of the nations, whose air is impure, meaning that all the thoughts of the nation of the world enter his mind and heart, and the desires of Israel called where desire straight to the Creator depart from him, and instead comes the desire of the nations of the world, which are the opposite of it. Turns out that in a state of descent, a person says, what have I gained from all the efforts I made in order to obtain? Now I see that not only did I gain nothing, I'm even worse than before I began the work of obtaining the aim for the sake of the Creator. In other words, he says, not only do I not have the aim to bestow, but even in practice the situation has become harder to observe, mean in the act without an intention. Conversely, before I wanted to come into the land of Israel, I could easily observe. This is as it is written in the Surah. It is written, and they returned from touring the land, and they returned means that they returned to the side of evil and returned from the path of truth. They said, what have we gained? To this day we have not seen good in the world. We have toiled in the Torah, but the house is empty, and who will be rewarded with that world, and who will come into it? It would be better if we did not to toil. So we toiled and learned in order to know the part of that world as you advised us, and it is also blowing with milk and honey. That upper world is good as we know from the tea, but who can be rewarded with it? The faithful ones. What did they say? If the Lord desires us, he will give it to us. When a man exerts with a desire in the heart for the Creator, he will be rewarded with it, for all he wants of us is the heart. Thus we see that the land of Israel is meaning a bride. People are sent to see if the bride is good or if she is proud. Also, Shabbat is called a bride with respect to the completion of the work. Therefore, before Shabbat there are the 6 work days where the work and toil are in order to adjust to the terms that the bride presents. If we want to accept her, the labour during the 6 days is as it was with the spies. Sometimes they think that the bride is good, and the one who takes her is the happiest man in the world, and it is worth doing anything, meaning accept all the terms that she demands. But what does she say? Only after a person says that he ans all his needs, which a person's body's demands, meaning his desires that are for his own sake, he relinquishes them and cares only for the benefit of the bride, who is called Mal, the bride, which is the kingdom of heaven. Only then, when he cancels himself, as our sages said, exists only in one who puts himself to death over it. This means that all the thoughts and desires pertaining to his own needs he puts to death and cares only for the sake of their Creator. Likewise, during the 6 work days, a person has ascents and descents. In other words, sometimes a person says that the spies are right in saying that we should escape the campaign. This is not for us. Sometimes they overcome and say that as and Caleb, who said, if the Lord desires us, he will give it to us our right after we complete the work, meaning when a person agrees to all of the bride's terms, person is rewarded with Shabbat, being called Shabbat, the queen. That is, she gives to the man who annuls himself before her all the delight and pleasure she receives from the groom. These are the demands she presents at specifically after he accepts all her terms. She shows what a person gains in his life. He can accept her as a bride, and then the bride gets a name, which is the king's daughter. The king's daughter, and nothing is missing in the king's house. Now we can interpret what we asked. Why is it required to delight the groom? The answer is that since from the perspective of branch and root, the groom is the Creator and the bride is the created beings who should receive from the Creator, and since the Creator created the world in order to do good to his creations, when the creatures receive delight and pleasure, this is called the groom's joy. As our sages said, there was theirs never been joy before him as in the day when heaven and earth were created. It follows that every person enjoys a groom's meal, meaning that all the pleasures in the world come from the creature, which is called a groom's meal. Not delighting him means that he slanders the bride, meaning says that the bride is not fair and is full of flaws. The bride is the created beings who should receive the delight and pleasure from the creator. They say that the bride called Mal, who contains all the soul, does not give to the created beings delight and pleasure. It follows that it is as though the creator does not give her anything. If a person says that Mal has nothing to give to the created beings, he is slandering the bride, that she is poor and meager, as well as slanders the creator, because the creator is not giving her anything, so she has what to give to the created beings. For this reason, any person who enjoys at a groom's meal and does not delight him transgresses in 5 voices. Concerning 5, it is known that in spirituality anything complete is called 5 worlds. This is why this is called embryo, meaning passing over them, and does not receive them. If he delights him, asks the what is his reward, says he is rewarded with the Torah, which was given in 5 voices. We should understand why she is not promised to be rewarded with the next world as it is promised in all the places. The answer is that it is because he delights the groom, meaning he believes in the kingdom of heaven, who is the bride. He says that she is a fair and good bride, and he believes with faith that she has a groom, and we can already see that he is in that he is with the bread. This is called a Shabbat meal. It means that then on Shabbat, which is the collection of the souls, already has what the creator, who is called the groom, wants to give the souls. This is the meaning of Shabbat, being a similitude of the next world, for then is the time when we enjoy the grooms. Now we can understand what we asked. Why does he say that the reward of one who delights the groom is the Torah does not say that he is rewarded with the next world, as it is written in many places? The answer is, with what can a person delight the groom in the work when the groom is the creator? It is when a person says that the bride is beautiful and flawless. The bride is called Mal, as far as faith above reason. He says that who leads the world with her governance leads in the form of good and doing good. This is as it is written, you are all beautiful, my wife, there is not a flaw in you. At that time a person is rewarded with the Torah, which is called the king's meal, which is the Torah with respect to the names of the creator, does not appear before a person is rewarded with faith, called the kingdom of heaven. However, before one is rewarded with faith, called a bride, there are ascents and descents. There this is called a dance. This is where all the work to be rewarded with taking upon himself the kingdom of heaven is found. So he will not do anything that concerns his own benefit, but all his actions will be for the sake of the creator. Our sages said about this, how does one dance before the bride, meaning in order to be rewarded with the quality of bride. In this there is a dispute between the house of Shea and the house of Shammai. Says a bride is as she is, that is, however a person feels, whether he feels good or bad about everything, he should believe above reason, that is, that all his actions are for his sake. This is very difficult, but the house of H says that a person should say that what he feels in the state he is in, that he does not feel good, he should believe that it is good, but he cannot see the good because he is still unworthy of seeing. Therefore what he feels is untrue, because they have eyes and see. Not every says that a person should go above reason and delight the groom. Are 2 kinds of work: 1 during the 6 work days, which is the time of work; 2 during Shabbat, which is the time of their meal. Thank you, sir. Yes, faith is actually the importance of the creator. It's the same thing. Know if that's the way it's written, so show us. He says that the moment the person has a revelation, and there's none wiser than one with experience, meaning the most powerful. Experience is experience, not what we experience on our flesh. And he says that if a person comes to revelation, and that revelation controls his reason, immediately eludes him, meaning the whole revelation, his whole connection goes. It all leaves, meaning that the experience of that moment, what he felt himself, what he received, is more important to him than to delight the Creator, so as long as it's important for him to delight the Creator more than what he feels, then that's actually being in faith, then he can keep that connection with the Creator. That's why I'm asking whether faith is the importance of the Creator, because it's basically the same thing. Because no matter what he feels or receives or doesn't receive, it's almost always and more important to him, the connection with the Creator. Yes. What? More, yes. My, the last two paragraphs there, talking about a state in which a person needs to relate to the bad as good, and one hand they say that it's hard, and the other they say you have to go be reason if you don't see it. So what does that work? Meaning it's against nature. You see that it's not good, and you need what do you mean not good? It's against nature, but not that it's not good. That's exactly the question. There's such a discernment. A person feels a certain state and it's not good. Our whole life leads us through such states. So what's the work in those points that we always need to try to ascend above reason, rise above reason? This to try. What is it? To pray, ask to be above reason, above that feeling that we feel. Yes, where do we adhere to? Meaning what? Yes, what the Creator gives, he gives not good in the feeling. But how do I adhere to him? That you ask of him to give you a feeling above reason, that you'll be able to adhere to it and be above that state that he revealed to you. And this needs to become in my feeling that I'm kind of receiving it, because it's so what's the essence of this whole process, where each time I'm bringing a new state that you cannot justify, that every time you get a new vessel above reason and you adhere to it, and in it you want to feel a connection with the Creator. So actually our entire life needs to be in such a point, bottom line, in order to advance. Yeah, can writes here that everyone says that we have to go by reason, and there's a dispute between say and where H says they have eyes but see not, and the Shay H says writes about something else. He writes that it's difficult, and we know that our doctrine usually goes accord to. So what's the difference in the work? What do you mean? What's the difference in the work between these? There are two methods that we need to reach a state that we ask to always be above reason, to accept the bride. Go, they have a deficiency, but they say they have eyes but see nothing, as opposed to me going in my reason. Okay, what's up with you? What it's not clear? Well, to you it's obvious that it's not clear there who's sitting through. It sounds like a person needs to consider the bride as the daughter of the king, and he sees this connection between the to take place. Yeah, I have a question about the my wife, the corporal. Yes, but there's the matter of man and woman, divinity between them, the between them. So here I have to make sure that my wife will merit to be filled. I don't know, I just have to have a little question about this. I have to make sure that my wife will become closer to the Creator, or do I need the Creator to be revealed between us better, that the Creator will be revealed between you? It's kind of a special state. It's not that a person from the side of the Creator, and he's making sure that they'll come closer to it. He needs to be inside this coupling. It's different. Then it's like it's kind of a state that, do you understand where I'm? It's different. I don't understand. Here he's describing throughout the article how this general desire will be adapted to the Creator, and will observe this coupling. Me Creator is trying to bring them closer, and with his wife he needs to truly be inside. It's like he's not standing on the side. He's what's the role that a person does when he's in a SB situation. He has to be in his with his wife in good relations, try and be in a common understanding, and the Creator is between them. Yes, he talks really beautifully about how the bride is a whole state represent, doesn't think about himself, but it's all for the sake of the Creator. Yeah, and then there's this dance where you jump up and down and ascend and descent, and between them there's more connection or less connection. Exactly. So what is this T? How do we dance in such a way in the T that it'll bring us to there's a bride at the end of the dance? In the 10 we need to depict to ourselves the connection between us, complete connection, whole connection, how we're all connected, and we all start dancing towards the mall that connects us and raises us. That's called the bride. For us, we also have to hold on to kind of rejoicing the groom through this, yes, of Course of. Course, so what in the 10 is the relation? How what's our attitude in the 10? Towards the bride and towards the groom. In this dance by jumping up and down, ascending, descending, we all want to connect together around the bride. The groom will ride upon us and will give us an ability to be connected and keep going in that. So does it mean that we make the bride or see the bride as beautiful and gracious? What is it that the connection between us that we want to attain in all our forces is a very nice connection, even though we invest a lot of forces in it, and it tires us, it exhausts us, but we definitely are inviting him. We want him to come and be revealed, and then in relation to that, there's in the sense, yeah, and now dance sounds like something happy. It actually is, even though the dance is our exertion, that we are giving a lot of forces to it, but along with that, how I say it, along with that we're happy because eventually we reach our bride to the mal of above same NN. Yes, said that this dance is a matter of essence and descent, yeah. A sense in the sense come from the creator. Right, well, I don't know, it could be that it's still connected to us, that it's by us. That's why I'm asking, so what does it mean that we're dancing? Because I usually think of a sense in des sense come from above. No, from above comes the force. We need to see it and feel it and accept it further, and through it we all connect. What is that we're dancing sense and the sense towards the bride? I don't understand. What do we do? Are we responding? What do we think we respond? Let's say we're responding towards her bride the way that she dances along with us, feeling the work is just at all the states the creator sends to us. We try to hold on to faith above reason, that it's all to our benefit. Is that the work kind of yes, no, yes? He gave a certain answer to Marek earlier that confused me. Receives a state that he feels as bad in his vessels, and now above reason he needs to see that it's for his benefit. Yeah, in this world when I feel bad, I try to solve it. I do something with it, so that's also the solve it that you're turning to the creator. Do I need mostly what the bad that's revealed to me is a problem in the connection with the friends? Let's say I turned to the creator to correct that. Besides that, do I need to perform actions physically in order to correct it? The fact that I do physical actions to solve it, does that not contradict me turning to the creator and telling him and telling me that it's all okay? How is everything okay and I'm still trying to change it? You're not trying to change it, you the contour. You want to keep what the creator did with you and to raise yourself above reason. I didn't understand. A problem has been revealed. I'm trying to solve it in the corporal world. The moment I try to solve this problem in the corporal, doesn't that immediately say that I don't agree with the creator? I'm not reason. No, you accept that you're receiving this from the creator when you, well, let's say in a different way you want to solve it. It doesn't mean that you are rejecting what he did. So what does that mean? It means I don't agree with him. I feel bad. I want to correct it. You want to correct it. So why aren't you asking from him? That's what I understand. I'm supposed to work on two planes, one on the spiritual level to go above reason, like you explained to Mar earlier, and in the core correct what he sees in the core. Does one not contradict the other? No, because it's two levels. What does it mean? It's two levels. I understand, I know that, but I don't. What does it mean? I'm saying correcting it, and I'm also creator, thank you for doing this, and I don't understand how the two of them work together. You do what you can on your level, and you ask the creator to take care of it from his level. I don't understand what that is. Okay, so think about it a bit more, and you'll see that that's how it works. What does it mean that the creator will correct things on his plane? What will happen after he does that action that I ask from him, and he will do? Let's see, he'll give me an answer. What will then happen? Then he will equalize the feelings in you between what you feel and what he's doing. I don't understand that you all understand each other, that be able to justify him. You can say that's easier. Yes, okay, thank you again. Good morning. To continue the scrutiny you just did, there's the dispute between the house of Shammai and the house of H. The house of Shai say that what was sent to me is okay, it's for the purpose of their work. The house of say I'm living in a lie don't say that it's only for my benefit and you're going with it are those two levels of where it's two different types of relation, but is one built upon the other? No, no, no. No, each one on his own behalf, so prefer the because sh is very harsh, so it's best to be with the desires to receive in such a manner that only I don't see that it's good that does good. Probably again. Yet what exactly are the conditions that the bride places, and what does it mean that in the 6 days of a labour a person gets used to withstand the conditions that the bride puts forth? What problem it's written that the toil and work in the 6 days of action of work is to prepare for the conditions of the bride. Yeah, what are those conditions of the bride, and what do we have to do during the 6 days to be able to observe her conditions? We work on the desires that are revealed, and it is difficult daily work until we reach a state called Shabbat. You see that there is no more work, that everything works out to go in faith, always be in faith. That's actually the condition. So what is now during these 6 days of work? What there's a sense. In a sense, sometimes you go with the spies, sometimes with the Caleb. And yes, here what's the difference between the 6 days and the Sabbath? If this is to go in faith, and that's also to go in faith, what do you get in the Sabbath? As a result of that, on Sabbath you get an additional force called the additional soul, by it that we are rewarded with connection. What that same people, what from women from Turkey 8 there, asking, so what is our work in the 6 days and on the Sabbath? What's the difference? Just asked a question about the 6 days and the Sabbath. So to continue that question, women Turkey 8 are asking, what's the difference in the work between the 6 days and the 7? Difference between what our work in the 6 days of the work and the work on the Sabbath. What's the difference between this and that? The work in the 6 days is the work that we need to do, as he writes that day after day there's a new state. The world on Shabbat is that you get a summary of all the previous days, and then when you connect all those days you are rewarded the Sabbath, as we say that you have nothing else to do but all the work that you did throughout the 6 days. Connect, and then comes the rest. Are there no actions from the side of the created being on the Shabbat? No. Are there certain cautionary issues in that? No, it not work, and it's written that one can go with his eyes shut and hear all that things she can talk with him, asking how is the what's the ability to go with your eyes? It's exercises that appear before a person, and he needs to get used to go against them with his eyes shut, meaning even though he doesn't see any justice in it, that it's right, doesn't really understand what's going on and confused, he still tries to keep that connection, what's demanded on those daily conditions. And this way he advances. Women Turkey N are asking, how do our eyes open up? Our eyes open only under the condition that we demand the quality of ball faith. Then the eyes can open to thank you. Can there somebody be instead of them? Yes, also a state of fi reason. Yes, that is the Shabbat. What does it mean that it's faith above reason and there's no work there? Why is there no work? Because now he said that Shabbat is rest, that there's no work. Already no work means that a person reached the state that for him it's not work. So what's the meaning here? That a state of faith of reason that is not worker, because it sounds like F about reason is an effort that it doesn't need to correct anything. Nothing needs correction. Everything is corrected and connects into one action called Shabbat, that may be also state called complete. Faith could be no, even though it's something else, but thank you can. Yes, morning that reads Rash knows that he put the reforming light into the articles. Is that considered a dance? No, that's not called a dance yet. Dance are sense, and the sense state that appears I didn't understand. Never mind, it'll gradually come, because my next question was, what does it mean to rejoice the bride the groom? Because there's this feeling that only from this dance we like jump another degree, and then that's the degree that delights the groom. Yeah, as much as we jump we give more pleasure to the Creator. Thank you. Yes, it's not about the article, but a very big deficiency that has risen, and have new students that are beginning, and they have questions. Last week we started a very big physical course of new students, and yesterday evening it was lesson Number 2, the course is in there also. Here, in many students, 40-50 students, and yesterday during the lesson there was the definition of the wisdom of a according to whom we knew who was coming, and the revelation of the Creator to his great beings in this world. That was the definition. 2 women came from we travelling for an hour and 10 minutes. 2 women who have been serving the audience for their whole life in their profession, and one of them has 2 sons that are in the war right now that is experiencing everything, and the other one, sadly, her son did not survive and with a very big deficiency. And when we explained this world, the next world, and what it means, it's clear that the question is so what happens with those who did not survive? And the words that we say are words we heard from you there, things that we really can't engage in. On the other hand, it's a very big deficiency, a great pain. It's also felt in the group, and also they kind of turn to us personally on the break and at the end of lesson. What do we answer to such a thing? I would answer that just as we see that those soldiers have gave their soul, that's how we need to accept them and to pray for to the Creator that he will give them a good place in the next world on the wings of the, as we say. But that's our message that should be. What else could I say? I don't know. When we teach, we say you'll see the next world in this in your life. Its next degree in the next world. I'll explain with the AUD when the public says the next world. Later it doesn't go against the knowledge of the public. There's this life, and there is that life. Yes, that's what we said. It's clear that with the audience that we're talking to, we're talking within their language. But as far as the CES who define next world, they're talking about attaining the next world, the next degrees here in this world. We're okay, let's pray that we will manage to pass this along. We have to understand how there's the spiritual part in a person, there's a corporeal part in the person. Those who passed in the was, obviously they have a part in the next world, and we need to support that and explain that. Okay, right, you always have your hands up, Ken. Yef, what's the difference between being rewarded for the next world and being rewarded with the Torah? He kind of asks this question. He never doesn't seem like he answers it. To be rewarded with the Torah means to be rewarded with all the degrees that the Torah can escort him, but in his ascent, and to be rewarded with the Torah, meaning that he gets all the upper forest that shines on him from above and clothes upon him in his desire to ascend to the Creator from above downward. So what's to be rewarded with the next world? Next world is the world that's next, that's coming. What explains meaning that we need to see all those degrees that are before us from here to, and to try and get into them with all our heart and soul if possible. Another question he writes here about those of faith that say, if he the Creator desires us and gives us, who are those of faith, and what are they saying there? I guess that someone said if the Creator wants us, that they believe in that get a good payment for their whole life. I don't know how to interpret it otherwise. Okay guys, we are done for today. We are done for today. Thank you. Announcements, dear friends, you are invited to World Unity Day for the holiday of increasing joy. It will take place Saturday, March 23rd. For details and registration, enter convention C.1. Today is Wednesday, and our broadcasts are at noon. We have the afternoon lesson at 5:30 p.m. Israel time. We're reading the study of the 10 at 7:30 p.m. The Zohar reading will conclude with a so. Let's go all together. Let's go all together. We're going to dance night long, 'cause we are all. Let's go all together. Let's go all together. We are all. We going to dance night long, 'cause we are all one, 'cause we are all one. Let's go all together. Let's go all together. We're going to dance all night, 'cause we are all one, 'cause we are all one, 'cause we are all one, 'cause we are all. There's no walls between us, no separation in our hearts. There's no walls between, no separation in our hearts. No, for spi, the